Um, Today I'm going to talk about me and my passion for art and my approach to it. There's one of my instructors, Alan Meddy. I think he's head of the department in FAA. We were talking, and I had this really awesome discussion with him about art in itself, and he said, and I remember there was one key thing he said when we were talking. He was like, "There are two distinct different types of people." Okay, we'll have the people on the left hand side that have taken these art classes and know their stuff, but they produce decent work. And then there's people on the other hand who just grew up with it as kind of a craft, and it developed through school, and they see it, and he said that these two people, while their skill set may be different, while their range of ideals on it may be different, you know he said that one really likes to innovate himself and learn from the experience because he values the learning, because he didn't have that kind of learning, or he or she didn't have that kind of learning, correct me. And and I think that, and on the other hand, that there's others that come in and they like what they see, but they don't necessarily apply it, which is weird. I don't understand this. I think it's partially because we were having this talk about I remember this talk about talent and how it was kind of related to the subject. It was kind of along the lines that if you have talent, what you do is you kind of take advantage of it. You don't, foster it. In a sense, you get like this sudden realization that you're actually pretty good at art, and all of a sudden you stay with that same skill set. You don't like to deviate from that general area of art, and this applies for so many things outside of that too. Say, for instance, we were talking about science and just about any other field, honestly. If you just really just got into the flux of things, you just take advantage of the talent you have for it. And I think, honestly, I think that really you shouldn't measure art, really, especially art, because it's a form of expression, not necessarily a form of set calculations or independent variables. There's a really set dogma to it, and I think since it's a form of expression, is something that should be honed and crafted along a set of years, especially after reading like Da Vinci and Michelangelo. You get these kinds of perks in this kind of sense. When I read about Leonardo and Michelangelo, the key things that stuck out with me were, they weren't necessarily as good. We had people, these were ordinary people. And it wasn't until they came back and they went over and over and over in what they did that they kind of made it branch out into other things. They were so interested in so many different things, and I think that's the passion that you should approach everything that you see in life with. For instance, if I was to paint something, I'd want to paint something outside of that range. Kind of restrict myself in certain ways, give myself something challenging, so I develop and I have a greater sense for where my talents lie and where they don't, and give myself opportunity to grow within that. And I like taking risk in my artwork. There's certain things that I love doing, like making those itty bitty mistakes. It's it's like you made that line and it kind of fucked up the entire thing. But I like seeing these kinds of things in people's work and my own, because it's intriguing how you approach it. Some people will say, "Oh, well, that's a mistake. Let's really cover it up and try and make it look like everything else." And then there's others, that they see the erase mark and they're like, "Oh shit. Well, let me add another erase mark there." And it's kind of like that for some people, and I think on a different level myself too. You know, um, you can tell I'm really lit up about this, by the way. Uh, when I'm drawing or when I'm sketching things out, I love to see those little mistakes that I make and then kind of go with them, because then they give me an idea as to where I'm really subconsciously blocking it out. And I'll spend hours working on this. I mean, I'll read about the said subject, like, why am I not giving myself enough space? Am I not approaching my art in a way it should be taken seriously? Or, you know, it's not necessarily about being a good artist. It's about being able to express and connovate a certain idea. I think I may have said the wrong word wrong. I think I think you want to have a certain earnestness in your work, and you want to be concrete when you express your things. And I think that there's in art is like, it's there so you can master the art of doing that. And I mean, I guess you get kind of you get kind of caught in your own thoughts there too. But it's really important for you to do stuff like this. And I think if you're playing guitar, if you, I mean, even maybe if you go back to those calculation things, um, maybe you express yourself through going through matrices over and over again. I don't know. Um, but I'm slowly learning, and I'm becoming more adept at the fact that, maybe I am in fact in love with art. And I mean, I ask people occasionally, instead of getting straight to the subject, do you own a sketchpad? No, I don't. And I don't think you should be asking me that question. Maybe they don't say this kind of thing, but it's kind of connotated in there. It looks like, why is this guy asking for my sketchpad? Or and then there's some other people that are like, whoa, he like takes art way too seriously. He sits in there and he like works for hours, and he reads all these books, carries all this stuff. He's making himself look like an idiot. And when I see stuff like that, I kind of like, fuck it. I mean, dude, art is it's an innovation process, and if I don't apply myself to the point where I want to, where the way I want to work and how I want to work, maybe it's different for you, or maybe you see me as some kind of creep, but I am probably never going to see you again just for that one reason. And because you are such a raging asshole slash faggot, um, I don't want to talk to you anymore. And it's kind of like that for a lot of situations I go through. I think I have a certain way about going about myself when it comes to art. I mean, I challenge myself. I love doing this thing, and I love this way I do this kind of thing. And if you ask me, if anybody else asks me from now on, I will refer to it as a passion and a love for, you know, expressing myself. I mean, what else am I gonna call it? What else am I gonna equate it with? Um, I guess that's it. And to give you a better idea, I am working on in the process of making two pieces, one smaller, one bigger. And I was hoping to have them connected in some sense, maybe not necessarily conceptually, but in the aspect of designing them. I'm reading about architecture and spatialist design and minimalistic design, and trying to understand to get my point across in these pieces. So this would be really important. I'm literally turning from side to side because this is where the two pieces are. And what else? What else? Oh yeah, I've almost mastered my one of my life goals of becoming ambidextrous. It's gonna take much longer than I intended. I mean, I've been working on it for about a year and a half now, so it's gonna take me longer than I anticipated. But one of my lifelong, and that's the reason why for that is so because it gives you actually a sense of multitasking. It's actually pretty cool if you do it yourself. you have one thing in one hand and you're writing on the chalkboard in the other hand like that. It's classy. And then there's the books that I'm reading. I still have not read those philosophy books. I have not touched those things. I'm starting to think I might want to send them back to the library just because I think I might forget about them eventually. I have 5 books. One on contemporary art, two on no, three on architecture. One of them happens to be like architecture in the process. The the other two happen to be about drawing. Well, the other two, Jesus. No, the last one actually happens to be about Dutch sculptures. Yeah, yeah. Um, and what am I listening to nowadays? I think I'm listening to Masita, the new Mastodon album, which is really good. I went for a run last night with that in my little playlist and blasting it everywhere, honestly, because I don't have headphones. Don't tell anybody, don't tell my parents, because, yeah, don't tell my parents, because then they'll kind of like be like, why is he doing, yeah, I'm really, I'm really kind of going with it in terms of my running. And when I run, I mean, if I'm running past someone at Mach 5, honestly, they're not going to hear it. And when I run, there's virtually nobody on the street. So I don't really honestly care that I'm blasting my music that loud. Um, but I'm listening. But the Mastodon's album was really good. There's a dynamic shift in it. 2 parts of the album that you can only experience for yourself. And when it comes to music, a lot of people say you have to listen to what the critics say what or maybe like similar things to it. But Mastodon has gotten so broad now. I mean, just within this one album, that I think it's safe to say that they have a prominent state in music, just kind of stepping outside, not even just their own boundaries, but the genre of metal itself, which is an awesome thing to experience and see. I mean, because they dedicate entire songs to one specific genre, and I guess they have the same approach that I do and have in art, but I'm listening to that, and that's it. If there's any like more things that I will say, post them on my Facebook or my DeviantArt gallery page. I'm starting to get back in the swing of things when it comes with that. I'm not too savvy on DeviantArt. I think it's just a place where I can post it so you see it. So yeah. Alright guys, I'm checking out, and it's 9:36 a.m. at on 9/28 2011. Um, you guys have a great day. It is cold.